I'm Cooper, and we are currently at Pierce Island.
Covered in ivy green. The windows that we watch from are old and chipping at the beam.
So I guess I first knew it was kind of this three-part situation, because I've always sort of known and had the same feelings that, you know, my gender identity and sex didn't necessarily correspond. That started in about kindergarten, and it wasn't until about middle school where I started to get down some of the terminology, and I was aware that this was like a real thing and people actually went through this. Sophomore year was when I actually accepted it and started to identify that, alright, so I don't identify as being female, I identify as being male. I think my parents are really accepting, and I'm extremely lucky to have them as my parents, because I do have friends who are trans or who are some form of queer LGBT youth who don't have it as lucky. And yeah, so I'm very lucky to have the parents that I have right now. As far as other parents go, I've only had really one situation where a parent was really hesitant about me coming over to the house and being around their child. At the same time, I can kind of tell when people are a little bit hesitant around me, just because there is sort of that presence of, okay, this is something that isn't like normal, like how do I act around that? But other parents I think are generally pretty accepting, from, you know, like my friends' parents. I will say that I definitely became a lot more comfortable with my femininity after coming out. Before I came out, I was, you know, the stereotypical tomboy. I was really kind of like hyper masculine, because I didn't want to be associated with anything female. It was something that was not comfortable for me, so I was just one of the boys. And then coming out, my mannerisms have changed a little bit. The way that I've started presenting in public has become more masculine, but at the same time more thought out. And just the way that I communicate with people, it's a lot more open than I was before I came out, because I had this barrier that I just surrounded myself with. So society as a whole, I think still perceives the whole queer aspect, specifically trans people, as more of a taboo, because I do see people not really openly discussing gay, lesbian, bisexual people, but it's more acceptable. You know, it's something that I notice doesn't really get brought up, but then when it is brought up, people don't necessarily shy away from it. Because it's just, you know, it's not something that comes up in everyday, like, dinner conversation that you have with your friends or something. You know, it's one of those things where, unless you know somebody who is going through some sort of gender variation, transformation, it doesn't seem all that relevant in day-to-day life. Ways that I involve myself in the community, I haven't done too much, but I do partake in our school's GSA. It's every Monday, so that's a little plug. You should go, because it's pretty fun. Our advisor's pretty cool people. You'll get to see my beautiful face. So I guess what I want to see happen in the future, I really hope that one day, you know, trans won't be a stigmatized word, where you hear the word transgender or transsexual and, you know, just have all these, like, preconceived ideas about what it means to be transgender, or, you know, like, just this kind of, like, thoughts of disgust and, you know, taboo that makes it, like, not something that we can discuss. Because the reality is that people are transgender, and people go through it, and you become aware of it at a really young age. For the most part, I shouldn't say all people do, but, you know, we need to have a place where transgender children don't feel ashamed because of the way that they feel, because it's not a conducive way to run society, and that's no way that we make progress.